Hi everybody, looks like everyone's here, so let's get straight into it. As noted by my email last Tuesday on December 5th, we are here for the kickoff meeting for Project Warcraft 4. I'm very excited for this as this is a project and a franchise that is very dear to my heart, and I look forward to working with you. So as stated in my email, we will be going through some of the high-level details for this project today, including the scope and direction of the game, the budget that we have been allocated, as well as the time frame for the development of this game. So we've all been working together for a very long time on the Warcraft franchise, so I think we are all very familiar with the background of the project, so I won't go into any of the details. But I would like to introduce everyone that is here today and to give everyone their titles. I am Tim. I will be the project manager for this project, and with me today we have the lead designer, John Smith, with us. We have the head of level designs, Marianne Taylor. We have the head of gameplay mechanics, Dan Worker, over there. We have head of story development, Tim Haar. We have head of graphics and art, Randy O'Connell. We have head of programming, Larry Jones. He's way back over there. And we have head of music and audio, Jane Canal. So again, I thank everybody for being here today. And to give some background on why we are developing this game. So as you know, the last Warcraft strategy game that we released was in 2003 with Warcraft 3, The Frozen Thrones. Since then, we have developed the Warcraft franchise further with World of Warcraft and its expansions, with the latest expansion, World of Warcraft Legion. But the story development has been in a different direction than the original core strategy games. As you know, World of Warcraft is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, MMORPG, and in this sense that there's a lot of players in these situations and scenarios, and sometimes it can be really difficult to script a very distinct story for the players, for each individual player that is playing the game. And so we think that this is a good time for us to go back to the core strategy games that we developed for this franchise. In addition to that, as you know, StarCraft 2, one of our other franchises, has sold very well with the recent release of StarCraft 2 with Wings of Liberty, Heart of the Swarm, and Legacy of the Void. These three together have sold for over 7 million units, and so there's currently demand right now for these type of strategy games, and I think it's time for us to refresh and update the Warcraft franchise with another release of a new Warcraft strategy game. And so with respect to the actual details of the game, as I mentioned before, this will be a single-player strategy game. Where you build a base, where you build an army, and use the army to achieve some kind of objective. Now, we've chosen the single player because we want to focus in this game on catering this game very specifically for each individual player. Now, we will be doing this by tailoring the character and story development so that each person playing this game gets really involved. They dive straight into the story and the lore of this game, and we want to focus on giving them a story that they will remember and then that is memorable. As I said before, with an MMORPG, it can be very difficult to develop the story and the lore of a game due to the fact that it's very difficult to script certain scenes when you have a large number of people running around and doing whatever it is they wish to do. And so this game, we are trying to focus very specifically on creating a tailored experience for each individual player. Now, part of that will be done through the use of cinematics and our cutscenes. As you know, we have developed very good cutscenes, and that have been very well received by the public. And I think we can translate that into Warcraft 4 very well, as the original Warcraft had very good cutscenes, but as you know, in the past few years, technology has advanced greatly, and so I think we can better utilize what we have now to create even better cutscenes. More clean, more crisp, and just much more overall enjoyable. As for the game itself, it will run off the StarCraft 2 engine. It will be an updated version of that engine. There has been a few developments lately that we think we can add to the use of the engine that will make the game a little bit better, especially as compared to, say, for example, the Fallen Throne, which came out in 2003, and since then there has been huge advancements in technology. So we think that this will be an appropriate use of the engine, and we think that this will do very well. And so with respect to the project budget, the lead designer here, John Smith, and I have been discussing this, and we have been able to get $40 million for the base budget of the game. Now we have developed a very high-level plan for the use of the budget currently. However, that is still in draft mode right now, and there's still a lot more to discuss with that. In addition to the $40 million, we have a $10 million of a reserve buffer, which we will can use throughout the project to draw upon if we go over budget within one certain aspect or another. Now, I'd just like to emphasize that this $50 million is more or less the max budget that we have for this project. And so it would be very difficult to get funding if we go over this budget. In that sense, I would like to highlight the importance of us sticking to a budget schedule, and to ensure that everybody produces what they need to develop within the budget, because if we do go over $50 million, it will be very, very hard to get additional funding. So that is just something to think about as we go along. Now, the last thing I want to do today is just to go over the time frame for the project, and as noted there, we have 4 years to develop this game. This was a time frame that me and a couple others of you here have discussed over the past few weeks, and we think that 4 years is an appropriate time for us to develop this game. First of all, I think we can use a lot of what we already have from the previous games, from the StarCraft 2 engine, from the lore in World of Warcraft, and build upon that to create a more personalized experience. But because we can use what we have already created, we won't have to develop as many original things as we would need if this was a completely new franchise. So with that, we would want the story and the direction of the game to be done within the first year. So we have been talking about this as well, but we want to make sure that we have our direction on where we want to go with this game down within the first year. Now, the gameplay mechanics and the art design we want to get done by the second year, so that we have a framework that we can work around, that we know what we want to do with the characters, what we want to know, or what we want to do with the overall, how the story progresses in the game, how the levels are going to shift from one to the next, how we are going to, just overall make sure that the game moves forward. Now, next thing is the programming and audio. We want that to be completed within the third year. By this stage, we would want to have some kind of system that's ready to be tested. It could be test levels, it could be a test environment, but we want to have everything packaged together as one thing, and ready to be polished. And then lastly, in the fourth year, we want to finalize everything, make sure that the game is ready to run, free of bugs. We might do an early beta to get some client player feedback, and do some test playing to see how the game goes. Now I can see that I'm almost out of time, so to summarize, this will be a single player strategy game focused on character development and story development. We want this to be a tailored experience for each individual player, and for this to be a memorable game that really dives deep into the lore of the Warcraft franchise. In total, we have $50 million for the budget, and again, I want to emphasize that this is more or less our max budget, so we want to stick to the budget schedule as much as we can. We have 4 years of development. I think this is enough for us. Obviously, the 4 years of development is still subject to change. We could need more time. We could need less. That is a little bit more flexible, so that's something to keep in mind. And finally, we will be holding more department-specific meetings with each department to go over the details of the game. And so, thank you for being here. I am very happy and proud to be the project manager for this development of this game, and I look forward to working with you all. Thank you.